Hello and welcome to a process video for Project Life. You'll see that my hands are moving um, faster than I probably am speaking, and that's because I made this last night and then it was way too long, and there's a 10-minute max on YouTube. And so the fact that it takes me 45 minutes typically to make these spreads isn't really going to work in terms of filming and talking at the same time. So I'm adding this voiceover later. So this spread is last week, and I'm typically working in the last week and the current week. And the first thing that I do is I pick the photos. So it's hard because I take a lot of photos, and so kind of choosing which ones can be a real challenge. I try to just pick, photos that I feel like represent various parts of our life and are kind of showing a lot of details and routines and everyday kind of stuff. I see Project Life for myself. I think everybody does it differently, but for me, I use Project Life to showcase details and routines and various kind of pockets of our life. So I like to include things from work, things that we're eating, things that we're watching, daily routines like brushing teeth, and the upper left is like nail polish and the season and weather. I just feel like all of that is kind of maybe boring right now, but it's going to be super interesting, in like 10, 20 years. Whenever I'm kind of deciding what to include, I think about the kind of things that I would like to see um, from my own, like from my parents' life. Like, what would I be interested to know, from my mom when I was, 3 years old, 4 years old, whatever. Um, and I think the small things are what end up being interesting. Like, I was thinking the other day about, I had this idea to do take a picture of what's in my purse right now. So just dumping all the contents of my purse onto a table and taking a picture. And I was thinking about how where that idea came from was thinking about how interested I would be to know what was in my mom's purse growing up. What was she carrying around? It's such a simple, small thing that's I think seems boring, but it's really fascinating, at least to me. So, um, like the bottom left, there's a picture of a drawer in my scrapbooking room. And that's the kind of thing also that's going to change with time. Like if you look at the drawers, hopefully I'll be scrapbooking still in 20 years. I was 17 years ago. Um, that's the kind of thing that's going to change. So I think it's really interesting to capture it and then look back. So um, let's see, what else am I probably working on right now? Um, those post-its, those are stories that, like, throughout the week, I use my notes app on my phone to record things that I want to be sure to include. And then I write them on a post-it and put them on the spread in case I don't get to it right away so that I don't forget. And it also kind of helps me to figure out what journaling card I'm going to need. And then it helps me to make those decisions. Like, okay, this story is going to take this amount of space, and it just helps to kind of organize it. So I also like to use a lot of negative space in pictures, like right there, to do journaling. So a lot of times when I take photos, I'm taking them with the intent of like, where in this photo could I cover up? So I take photos maybe a little off center or maybe farther back than other people would, just knowing that I'm gonna embellish and add journaling and add stories to them. So I think photography can be kind of specific to project life. At least it is for me. I'm noting here that there's a lot of, oh, that chipboard piece is so funny. It's just a quick tangent. That orange piece I put by my hand, it says nailed it. I just think that's so funny. I'm such a nerd. So in that card right there that I'm holding, and then also in the Is This Real Life card, there's a lot of typing. And I actually don't typically type my journaling because handwriting is really important to me. I know that I really cherish my mom's handwriting, my dad's handwriting. So I want to include a lot of my own handwriting in Project Life. But this week was hard because I had a lot to say, and I noticed that my handwriting can get a little messy because my hand gets tired. So if I have really long stories, I will type them out. It also helps because then I'm doing kind of the right the space tends to be cleaner which is good. And then the other thing that's kind of a downside to writing is that if you're running out of space, then you might not say everything you meant to say. And so I think there's perks to both. And I do handwrite. You'll see in a second on the little pictures. So my handwriting is in there. And see, I'm taking this off now because I didn't like that. And I think that's fine. Like I do things and I undo them a lot because you just can't know till you do it. And that's why removable adhesive is a good thing to invest in. um, I know I chose that yellow. I think about kind of colors throughout the week. I think embellishments can tie a lot of colors together. So there's always varied colors. Like the bottom right picture is very orange because we're in a restaurant, and then there's like, pinks and oranges in other places. So I think a way to tie in all the different colors that can come from having a lot of random photos together can be embellishing and just pulling colors together. So like the yellow in her shirt on the far left, the yellow in the kitchen, um, and then in the bottom left is what made me choose that yellow washi tape. This is my ink grid, so that is all the ink that I have. I have on this little grid so that I can pick what color to stamp things, and then I just hold it up to the layout and pick the color based on that. It's pretty nerdy, but it's super helpful. So if you haven't done that, I highly suggest it. Look at my beautiful hair. That's pretty rough. That's how I clean my stamps. I just stamp them until they're gone. I don't have time to clean stamps. I want to craft, not clean. This is the pen that I absolutely love. It's an O1 Zig Rider. It's the smallest point that I've been able to find, but it's the absolute best. Boy, my hair looks rough. I mean, this is what... It also looks like I'm not wearing a shirt. I promise that I am. I didn't even think about the fact that I was going to be in the video. That's pretty funny. So, yeah, I mean... the picture that I just finished where, I'm trying to think how to explain where it is. So the second one on the second spread, so the third in the middle, the third from the left, is a picture of us in the morning. And it's going back to kind of the daily stuff. Like it's a picture of my husband teasing my daughter in the morning with a shaver. And I'm like, I love pictures like that because they're so real and they're so, like it's not, great coloring. It's probably kind of grainy. The mirror is probably dirty, but it's just so fun because it's our routine and it's our real life. And I think it's something people don't think to take a picture of. But I know, like, if I look at I have a friend and we were looking through old pictures of her childhood, and it was a picture of her, I think, standing, I don't know, by a couch or something. And in the far background, there was this kind of half, um, you could like just barely see this toy that from her childhood that she was like, oh, I used to love that toy. I wish I could see more of it in the picture. And I think that's the kind of thing that we're interested in. I mean, we're interested in how we looked and that kind of thing, but I think we're also interested in details of our life that we don't think to capture now because they're not interesting now, but they're gonna be so interesting later. And so that is like a huge driving force for me is like, what are boring things in my life that I am going to be pumped to know in the future? Um, so yeah, I have a passion about that in case you can't tell. I love that chipboard. I just think that is so funny. It's such a nerdy thing to be that excited about. Will Wheaton came to where I work a while back, and he did a talk on bullying, and he was talking about nerd culture and people that are nerds, and he was saying how everybody is a nerd about something. So, he happens to be a nerd about gaming and whatever he's a nerd about, and then he was saying that football players are nerds about football, or we all have our thing that we're a nerd about, and this is the thing I'm a nerd about. This is the thing that I love, and um, I think about it all the time, and it's just a huge part of my life. Um, I just love the way that this helps me reflect on my life. It inspires me. I feel like I look at the world differently because I do Project Life. I feel like I'm very awake in a lot of ways to small things, to big things, to experiences, and I think a lot of people think or may presume that when you're somebody who takes as many photos as I do, that you're kind of not very present and that you're um, always kind of living behind the lens and not being um, kind of in the moment. But I really kind of reject that notion because I feel like, especially since I've started doing Project Life specifically, I feel like I'm a lot more awake. I'm a lot more present to moments. Now, I won't dispute the fact that there are times that something happens and I have an urge to take a picture when maybe my urge should be to just really be there in that moment. But, I think we can all work on being more present. I mean, I think everybody has a growth edge in that way. Um, I just think for me, this is one of the ways that I'm present in my life is by noticing and capturing moments. But yeah, I mean, plus it's fun, you know? So that's a perk. Can't really beat that. Um, and that nailed it chipboard is just so on fleek. Am I cool for saying on fleek? Did I even use it correctly? On fleek, on point. It's just hashtag winning. So thanks for watching.